She was the real princess, yet she had wandered outside the palace for 10 whole years. When the emperor finally found her and brought her back, her return home wasn't welcomed. Her brother despised her and her fake green tea sister threatened her. Just moments ago, Baby entered the throne hall with her maid to meet the father she hadn't seen in a decade. When she finally saw his face, Baby's eyes lit up like stars. He's so handsome, she thought. After all, she was someone who had crossed over from Earth. But just then, a sweet, overly nasal voice called from behind her. Daddy, try this, it's so good. It was the fake princess, Lillian. Baby couldn't help but think, ugh, that forced baby voice is disgusting. The emperor smiled and told Lillian to come over and meet her sister. But Lillian, acting like she didn't have legs, insisted that her daddy carry her instead. This time, however, the emperor didn't indulge her and told her to walk on her own. Seeing that he wouldn't pick her up, Lillian pouted, if daddy doesn't carry me, I'm not going. The doting father finally gave in with a sigh and stood up to carry her. In his arms, Lillian shot Baby a hostile glare. Daddy, who's she? She's your older sister. Just like you, she's a princess. Hearing that someone might compete with her for affection in the future, Lillian immediately burst into tears. But I'm the only princess. Baby couldn't take it anymore. Others might not know you, but I know exactly how vicious you are, she thought. As soon as Baby's thought crossed her mind, Lillian's fake mask of innocence slipped right off. After calming her down, the emperor sighed and told her to greet her sister quickly. He still had work to do. Lillian walked toward Baby, making sure her father wasn't looking their way. Then she leaned close and hissed, don't even think about taking my place, you'll never have a chance. Baby yanked her hand away and replied coldly, you're overestimating yourself, that I have no interest in your position. Just as the two princesses were quietly competing, the door suddenly opened. The person who entered was their elder brother, the future heir to the throne. The moment Lillian saw him, she ran up with a sugary smile. Big brother, give me a hug. But her brother didn't buy it. Lillian, you still haven't finished what you were saying, have you? Look how polite the new princess is. Baby blinked in surprise. She hadn't expected her brother to take her side and say exactly what she'd been thinking. Yet the next second he turned to her and said, so this is my sister. Not exactly impressive in looks. Baby froze on the spot, her brief joy vanishing instantly. Annoyed, she shot back, right back at you. You're not much to look at either. Her brother frowned slightly at that. He then turned to the emperor. Father, what's going on here? The emperor replied calmly, she's your real sister, that I had no choice but to bring her home. Her brother was startled that she's really my sister. Then why did she only return now? Baby sneered inwardly. Sorry, I'm the real princess here. Looks like you don't know a thing. The emperor continued calmly, you'd better get along. Both of you, that I haven't decided yet who will be chosen as the sacrifice. At that, her brother finally understood. The emperor was preparing for an upcoming ritual sacrifice. After a few brief words, the emperor ordered him to escort Baby to her room. He turned and said curtly, you new one. Let's go. Baby frowned at his rude tone, clearly displeased. He led the way at a brisk pace, forcing her to jog to keep up. Seeing her fall behind, he teased, what's wrong? Got glue stuck under your feet? Baby snapped back, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? You narcissistic prince. Truly, the two were like a pair of bickering rivals who couldn't stop trading jabs. Soon they reached her room. Baby said flatly, big brother, you can leave now. To her surprise, he smirked, that I in such a hurry to get rid of me. Is it because I'm too handsome and you're shy? Baby rolled her eyes, as if, you self-obsessed narcissist. Yet her brother showed no shame and even suggested, maybe I should come in and sit for a bit? Baby quickly waved her hands. Please just go already, she thought desperately. She pushed her maid forward and said politely, thank you for walking me back. Baby thought she could finally have some peace once she got back to her room, but the moment she sat down, there came a loud bang 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 at the door. Her annoying second brother barged in again, full of attitude. Just earlier, her eldest brother had been escorting her to the docks where the royal boats were waiting. There they saw Lillian laughing and playing on the shore with the second brother. Baby was speechless. She and that fake princess were wearing the exact same dress. Still, she didn't get angry, she simply sighed helplessly. Then she lifted her chin proudly and said, wearing the same outfit isn't scary, it's only awkward for the uglier one. And that's definitely not me. The emperor, seeing everyone had arrived, clapped his hands. All right, Get ready. We're boarding the boat. Lillian cheered, yay. I've been waiting for this all day. The emperor smiled and asked, so, who do you want to ride with today? Lillian already knew exactly who she wanted, but still pretended to be unsure. The eldest brother raised his hand quickly. I'll pass. I'd rather stay on shore and read. The emperor patted Lillian's hair. Then how about going with your second brother? The second brother, who hadn't dared to speak, panicked. I don't want to go on the boat either. Baby saw right through him and teased, you're not scared of water, are you? Her words hit the mark. The second brother froze, utterly embarrassed and speechless. Not wanting to lose face, he stomped toward the boat and shot back, who said, I'm afraid of water. But the very next second, her second brother totally embarrassed himself. His legs were trembling so badly they looked like they were doing a dance. Babia smirked and asked, you're not afraid of water, huh? Then why are your legs dancing? Seeing that both brothers refused to go, Lillian quickly pointed at Babia. Daddy, I want to go with her. Babia's heart skipped a beat. Just like in her past life, events were starting to repeat. Soon the two of them boarded the same boat. As the vessel drifted farther from shore, Lillian finally dropped her act. She sneered, no one in the palace likes you. Be smart and leave on your own. But Babia just shrugged. I couldn't care less who likes me. Until I reach my goal, I'm not going anywhere. Lillian's tone darkened. So you are trying to steal my place. Babia rolled her eyes. Please, you're the one who stole my place. Hearing herself called a fake princess, Lillian completely lost control. You're lying. If you won't leave by yourself, don't blame me for being ruthless. She suddenly leaned toward the edge of the boat. Babia froze. Wait, this isn't how it happened last time. Before she could react, Lillian toppled straight into the water. Babia instinctively reached out to grab her, but she was a second too late. The moment Lillian hit the water, she started screaming dramatically, Daddy! Help! Sister's trying to kill me. Then it hit Babia. Lillian had a magic float charm. She smirked coldly. So that's your plan, to fake it. Too bad for you, we're too far from shore. Father and the others can't hear you. Let's see how you get out of this one. But at that moment, the magic float charm suddenly failed. Lillian, who couldn't swim, began to sink fast, flailing desperately as she screamed for help. Babia still thought she was faking it. Go on, act all you want. No one can hear you anyway. But when she saw Lillian's hand weakly flailing above the water before slipping under, she realized, wait, she's actually drowning. Rushing to the edge of the boat, Babia shouted, hey! Don't you dare die on me. If there's only one princess left, the whole plot's gonna fall apart. Without hesitation, she stripped off her heavy gown and dove straight into the water. Lillian was sinking fast. Babia kicked hard, swimming after her with all her strength. She caught Lillian around the waist and pulled her up toward the surface. The moment Lillian's head broke the water, she started thrashing wildly, ignoring Babia's warnings to stay still. Finally, Babia lost her patience. She delivered a precise chop to the neck, knocking Lillian out cold. At that instant, guards by the lake spotted them and dove in to help. The commotion finally caught the emperor's attention. Moments later, the guards carried both princesses ashore, reporting that it was Babia who had saved Lillian. The emperor, still uncertain, asked personally, was it truly you who saved her? Babia replied calmly, I just didn't want her to die and make things hard to explain. Just then, the second brother suddenly accused her, shouting, you're the one who pushed Lillian into the water. Now you're pretending to be the hero. This time, the emperor finally spoke up for Babia. Enough, he said sternly. Everyone saw what happened, don't spread lies. The second brother tried to argue again, but the eldest brother quickly pulled him away. Seeing herself wrongly accused, Babia's temper flared. She smirked coldly. Why don't you investigate again then? The emperor didn't get angry. Instead, he knelt slightly, his voice gentle. I believe you wouldn't do such a thing. He reached out, wanting to pat her head in comfort. But Babia turned away, avoiding his touch. The emperor sighed helplessly. Then he stood and said, tonight you'll dine with us. Hearing that she'd have to eat with the family, Babia immediately refused. Her plan was to make everyone dislike her so she could survive the coming sacrifice. The emperor frowned. I'm your father. If I say you'll come, you'll come. Left with no choice, Babia reluctantly attended the dinner that night. When she arrived, the emperor surprised everyone by having her sit right beside him. Both princesses froze in disbelief. Lillian immediately pouted, her voice rising into a whiny tone. Daddy, why does she get to sit there? New Lillian wants that seat. But this time the emperor didn't give in. Good, he said firmly. Sit down. Babia sat reluctantly as the maids placed a full-course meal in front of her. She half expected some prank or poison dish, but seeing that her food was exactly the same as everyone else's, she relaxed and began eating heartily. Then the emperor suddenly spoke again, his tone serious. There's another reason I invited you tonight. I'd like to introduce you to your fiancé. Babia nearly choked on her food. Right, there was a fiancé in the novel, wasn't there? A moment later, a handsome young man entered the hall, graceful and full of confidence. At first, he assumed the engagement was with Lillian. His eyes practically sparkled with excitement. But the emperor's next words struck him like lightning. The one you're engaged to is Babia. The young man froze, his smile turning to shock. Cautiously he asked, Your Majesty, why? Before the emperor could reply, Babia spoke first, her tone proud and cutting. Because she's the fake princess. I'm the real one. I was switched at birth and spent 10 years wandering outside the palace. Now that I've finally returned, the imposter still tries to frame me. The young man's eyes flared with disbelief and fury as he stared at Babia, flames practically burning in his gaze. Babia turned her head away, exasperated. Why are you glaring at me? I'm not the one dying to marry you. Then Lillian put on her best wounded expression. Brother Aiden, I'm so sad. Daddy won't let me marry you. Hearing that, Aiden's heart softened even more, and he turned to the emperor carefully. Your Majesty, why isn't my engagement with Lillian instead? Little did he know this was all part of Lillian's plan. If I can't have him, then neither can she. But Lillian's little scheme had already been seen through by Babia. So that's your plan? Trying to make me look bad? Find out, let's play. She spoke up boldly, her tone cutting through the silence. Because she's the fake princess, and I'm the real one. Is that reason good enough for you? The entire hall fell silent. Every pair of eyes turned toward her in shock. Aiden frowned, puzzled. Fake princess. What does that mean? Babia replied coolly, You're curious. Then why don't you ask her directly? Lillian's face went pale, her jaw trembling as she bit her lip until it bled. Through tears she whimpered, Lillian is the real princess. Babia smirked. Let's see how you plan to get out of this one. Gonna cry and run away again? Sure enough, the next second, Lillian covered her face and burst into tears, running dramatically toward the door. She barely made it a few steps before stumbling and collapsing to the floor. Luckily, a nearby maid reacted quickly and caught her before she hit the ground. The emperor's expression changed instantly. He rushed forward, scooping Lillian into his arms and carrying her toward the infirmary. Behind him, one of the maids muttered nervously, His Majesty won't blame the little princess, will he? I shouldn't have told the steward. Babia's sharp ears caught it. She turned around, her tone cold. What did you tell the steward? The maid panicked, waving her hands. Nothing, my lady. Babia's face darkened immediately. So it was you told the steward to have me dine with father. The maid quickly lowered her head and explained, I just thought, since everyone's been excluding you, I asked the steward to help arrange it. Expecting to be scolded, she froze when Babia gently patted her shoulder instead. You did well, Babia said calmly. The maid blinked in surprise. You're not angry, Your Highness? Angry? Babia thought with a smirk. After watching Lillian humiliate herself today, I couldn't be happier. Ever since the day she exposed Lillian's true identity, the two hadn't met again, and Babia had finally enjoyed a rare stretch of peace. But that peace ended one afternoon as she was playing with her pet bear. There came a knock at the door. When she opened it, she was stunned to see the emperor himself standing outside. It was his first time visiting her room. He stood at the doorway, his tone gentle. May I come in for a bit? The maid immediately gestured politely for him to enter. Babia, however, thought irritably, the emperor never visits without a reason. This can't be good. Sure enough, behind him trailed her eldest and second brothers. That confirmed her suspicion. Whatever they came for, it definitely wasn't good news. Once everyone was seated, Babia asked evenly, Father, what brings you here? Instead of answering, the emperor launched into a speech full of polite, moral words, basically telling her he hoped she'd get along better with the rest of the family. Babia knew his words were nothing but empty talk, yet she asked coldly, So what exactly are you getting at? The emperor sighed and finally revealed the real reason. Lillian wants to see you. Babya's expression darkened immediately. Of course, it's always that fake green tea princess. Lillian has already forgiven you, the emperor continued gently. So I want you to go make peace with her. Babya's anger erupted like a volcano. Forgive me? For what? She's the fake princess here, she snapped. Knowing he had favored Lillian too much, the emperor softened his tone. Babya, do it for me, just this once. Babya's voice dropped low, her eyes sharp as blades. So that's why you all came here together. Just for this? The emperor looked guilty but still tried to persuade her. She completely ignored him. When persuasion failed, he acted without warning, sweeping Babya up in his arms. She struggled furiously, but his grip didn't loosen. In the end, she was carried off toward Lillian's chambers against her will. Moments later, they arrived. The emperor ordered the maids to open the door. One of the maids shot Babya a hostile glare. Princess Lillian doesn't like anyone entering her room, she said coldly. The emperor's face darkened. He hadn't expected a mere maid to defy him. His eyes blazed as he shouted, do you have a death wish? Open the door now. At that moment, Babya suddenly remembered something. From the original novel, she knew that this maid was actually Lillian's biological mother, though the emperor was still unaware. Inside the room, Lillian had just been cheerfully calling out Daddy. But the instant she saw her father carrying Babya in his arms, her smile vanished and her face twisted with rage. Daddy, why are you holding her? She snapped. The straightforward emperor replied honestly, didn't you say you wanted to see her? Lillian's eyes widened in fury and she slammed her fist onto the table. I didn't say you could carry her in, she shouted. Seeing his daughter's tantrum, the emperor's tone grew stern. Enough. Stop making such unreasonable demands. Hearing her father actually criticize her for once, Lillian's temper exploded. Daddy, you don't love me anymore, she wailed. The helpless emperor, ever the soft-hearted daughter-slave, had no choice but to put Babya down. He sighed and said apologetically, I'm sorry that if I didn't, Lillian would never stop crying. Babya brushed it off. It's fine. I'm not as delicate as some people. Meanwhile, Lillian was crying so hard that tears streamed down her face, repeating over and over, Daddy doesn't love me anymore. The second brother quickly jumped in, scolding, Father, how could you say that? Lillian's so upset. Then he rushed over to comfort her. Don't cry, little sister. You still have your brother who loves you. Babya rolled her eyes, covered her ears, and thought irritably, one of these days I'm going to deal with all of you. At that point, the eldest brother couldn't take it anymore. You called her here just to cry in front of everyone, he said sharply. Lillian quickly defended herself. I called her for a reason. Then get to the point, her brother cut in coldly. Under his stern gaze, Lillian finally stopped whining and tried to compose herself. Then, unbelievably, she reached toward the emperor and said in a babyish tone, Daddy, wipe my nose for me. Babya nearly gagged. Seriously? A grown woman still asking someone to wipe her nose? Disgusting. After cleaning her face, Lillian straightened up, regaining her usual arrogance. As the princess, I've decided to forgive you from now on. When I call for you, you must come immediately, understand? Babya let out a short, cold laugh. And why exactly should I? Lillian frowned, her tone haughty. Because I'm the princess. I'm already being generous with you. Arms crossed, Babya sneered. Are you insane? Just because people indulge you doesn't mean you're the real princess. Stop acting like one. Lillian froze, furious that someone dared talk back to her. She jumped out of bed, ready to strike. But Babya spoke first. What, standing up again? Gonna fake another fainting spell? Lillian's face went pale. What are you talking about? I never faked anything. Babya pointed straight at her. Don't play dumb. I saw you that day. You used your hand to brace yourself before falling and even peeked around afterward. Lillian stammered, clearly flustered. That's not true. Babya pressed on. You staged that whole scene just to frame me. Don't you feel even a little ashamed? With a cold snort, she turned on her heel and walked away, leaving everyone stunned. I didn't say you could leave, Lillian screamed after her. Get back here. But Babya didn't even glance back. She kept walking straight out the door. Just as she stepped into the corridor, a sharp voice stopped her in her tracks. She turned, puzzled. It was Lillian's biological mother. The maid, her face was dark as she said coldly, I heard everything you two just said. Babya raised an eyebrow. Oh? And what of it? Don't tell me you're here to stand up for her. The maid snapped. Don't get too full of yourself. Do you really think this makes you the real princess? Babia smirked, amused. Sorry to disappoint you, but I am the real princess. The maid's eyes flashed with rage. Seeing that intimidation didn't work, she reached out, trying to grab Babia's maid, Belle. If your mistress misbehaves, she hissed, then you servants must pay the price. Babia's fury erupted. You dare lay a hand on my maid? She lifted her skirt and kicked the crazed woman hard, sending her sprawling. Standing tall, she glared down coldly. A lowly maid barking so loud. Do you even know who you're talking to? The maid, trembling with anger, spat back. You're nothing but a stray beggar we picked up off the streets. Babia leaned close, whispering into her ear. Say what you want, but I am the true princess. Don't think I don't know. It was you who switched me at birth. The maid's eyes widened in shock, her face turning pale. How does she know? Babia straightened up, her voice cold as steel. That if you dare breathe a word, I'll tell everyone in the palace what you did. With that, she turned and motioned to her maid. Let's go. Together they walked away, leaving the trembling woman behind in silence. Her maid still looked uneasy. Princess, what if she tries to get back at us? Babia gave a cold chuckle and replied calmly, she's just a maid. I'm a princess. What's there to be afraid of? Later that day, the royal steward came to her door. Your Highness, His Majesty requests that you join him for dinner. Remembering the disaster that was the last family meal, Babia's whole body screamed no thanks. But the steward added, if you don't come, His Majesty said he'll come get you himself. With no choice, Babia sighed and reluctantly followed him to the dining hall. The moment she stepped inside, she was greeted by a sight that nearly burned her eyes. Her annoying second brother was feeding Lillian by hand like a toddler. Babia's lips twitched in disgust. Seriously, how old is she? Does she not have hands of her own? At that moment, the pair finally noticed Babia's arrival. Both turned to glare at her with obvious hostility. As she sat down, Babia couldn't help but think, this isn't dinner. This is torture. She reluctantly picked up her fork and began cutting her steak, trying to stay quiet. When the emperor suddenly commented, it seems you still haven't learned proper table manners. Babia lifted her gaze and replied dryly, well, someone has to teach me before I can learn, right? The emperor paused, caught off guard. So, you're blaming me? Exactly, Babia said without hesitation. The second brother clenched his fists, snapping, Father, don't listen to her. She's rude because she's just a beggar. Babia didn't even flinch. I was personally brought back by Father himself. She said coolly, if he knows who I am, what makes you think you know better? The second brother scowled. You're lying. Lillian said you're the fake one. Babia burst out laughing. Wow, you actually believe that, fake princess? How pathetic. Seeing the tension rise again, the emperor slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Both of you stop. He stood and walked over to Babia's side, saying calmly, come, I'll show you the proper way to dine. Babia picked it up quickly. Within moments, her posture and movements were flawless. Meanwhile, across the table, Lillian was being ignored entirely, her mouth smeared with crumbs, looking utterly disheveled. The eldest brother smirked and remarked sarcastically, not bad, the new one's got class. Unlike our spoiled little ancestor over there. Lillian pouted and said tearfully, I'm a princess. I don't need to learn anything. My brother and my maid will always help me. The eldest brother shot her a disgusted look. Lillian, wake up. We're not going to treat you like a child forever. And honestly, Father and I are both sick of it. Hearing her brother say that, Lillian immediately burst into tears, trying once again to win her father's sympathy. But this time the emperor truly seemed tired of her antics. He didn't even glance her way. Watching from the side, Babia couldn't help but grin. Nice one, big brother. True teammate energy. Ignoring Lillian completely, the emperor turned to Babia. Didn't you say you wanted to study? From now on, I'll teach you myself. Babia's eyes widened in disbelief. Her first instinct was to refuse. But the emperor gently patted her head. Don't worry, there's no better teacher than me. At that moment, his gaze was filled only with Babia. Then out of nowhere, Lillian, who had been crying just seconds ago, interrupted. Daddy, Lillian wants to study too. The emperor froze on the spot. Her princess syndrome had already traumatized him enough. Lillian quickly added, I'll be good this time, I promise. Not wanting to appear unfair, the emperor hesitated before finally nodding in agreement. A satisfied smile crept across Lillian's face. Her plan had worked perfectly. Meanwhile, Babia's expression darkened. Great, she thought grimly, one more annoying pest to deal with. The next day both girls arrived at the classroom on time. Lillian assumed the desk was for her and happily ran over. But the emperor stopped her. That's for Babia, he said. Lillian froze, pouting. How could it not be mine? If it's not mine, then smash it. The emperor sighed. Her princess syndrome was acting up again. Didn't you promise not to make a fuss? Look at Babia, she's your age and waiting quietly. Lillian whimpered tearfully, but I'm still little. Whatever I want you should give me. The emperor ignored her completely and motioned for Babia to sit down. Seeing her once doting father now favor another, Lillian's resentment boiled over. She blamed it all on Babia. She whispered darkly to her maid, is everything ready? We act tonight. Class began. Babia sat properly at her desk, while the emperor patiently taught her to read. The peaceful scene made Lillian burn with jealousy. Daddy, Lillian doesn't understand something either, she cried. Expecting him to teach her too, she was stunned when the emperor replied coldly, then start by learning how to speak properly. Lillian looked puzzled. What the emperor meant was her clipped, nasal tone that he said, learn to speak properly first, then we'll teach you to read. But Lillian couldn't shake the habit and the emperor lost patience. Stop acting like a child. Look at Babia, he snapped. Being scolded again made Lillian even more irritable. Hidden behind a book, Babia stifled a laugh. She'd long been annoyed by that affected voice. After class, Lillian yelled at Babia. It's because of you that father dislikes me. Babia scoffed back, how is that my problem? Just look at yourself. Lillian flew into a rage. Tonight you'll pay. She almost spilled the plan, but her maid quickly pulled her away. Late at night. Sure enough, someone slipped quietly into Babia's chamber. An assassin gripped a dagger, intending to kill her in her sleep with a single strike. But as he crept forward, his foot suddenly caught on something, a teddy bear. Startled, the assassin froze for a moment, then quickly looked down. Seeing it was only a toy, he muttered a curse under his breath and kicked it aside. He reached the bedside, raising his dagger high to strike. But at that instant, something kicked him hard from behind. The assassin stumbled, spinning around in alarm at who's there. To his horror, the same teddy bear he had kicked turned its head and spoke in a low, eerie voice. You're trying to hurt Babia. The assassin stood frozen in shock. The toy could talk. The teddy bear warned coldly, keep your voice down. Don't wake the mistress, or I'll kill you. Enraged at being mocked by a toy, the assassin lunged forward and slashed with his dagger. But the bear vanished in a blink, reappearing right behind him. With a heavy thud, it slammed into him, knocking the assassin unconscious. The bear picked up the fallen dagger and without hesitation finished the job cleanly. The next morning, Babia took a stroll through the royal garden to clear her mind. Seeing the endless field of daisies before her, her eyes sparkled with delight. The recent troubles that had weighed on her heart seemed to melt away with the breeze. She sat down among the flowers, savoring the rare moment of peace. But suddenly, a man appeared out of nowhere in front of her, greeting softly, hello there, little sister. Startled, Babia stood up defensively. Who are you? She demanded. The man tilted his head, smiling faintly. You could say I'm the caretaker of this garden. Babia frowned, clearly unconvinced. Sensing her doubt, the man added, if I wanted to hurt you, I would have done it already. Babia huffed and turned her head away, thinking, fine, I'll trust you, just this once. The man chuckled gently. Good. Then how about a chat? Maybe something to eat while we talk? Babia frowned in confusion. Eat here? What are we supposed to do, hold the plates and squat on the ground? Before she could say more, the man raised his hands, a faint glow flickering between his fingers. In an instant, a beautiful picnic table appeared out of thin air, covered with desserts and fruit. The sight was so magical that Babia's eyes went wide in awe. Among the tableware and tea sets, she noticed something odd. A brown teddy bear sitting quietly by the side. What's that for? She asked curiously. The man smiled. Most little girls like dolls. Consider it a welcome gift. Babia puffed her cheeks. I'm not a little girl. But the man gently pushed the teddy bear into her arms anyway. Keep it can protect you. Babia blinked, puzzled. Protect me? Her imagination ran wild. What, am I supposed to swing it at people? The man chuckled and turned the bear to face her. No. Like this. Let it do the protecting. And sure enough, the law of liking cute things took effect. Within minutes, Babia had grown fond of the teddy bear. Looking at the man's gentle smile, she felt an odd sense of warmth and asked without thinking, "Are you a magician?" The man thought for a moment before replying, something like that, I suppose. Babia frowned at the vague answer. What's that supposed to mean? Then what are you exactly? The man actually seemed to think about it seriously. Babia felt a flicker of unease, then realized how ridiculous that thought was. She accidentally spat out her coffee with a laugh. The two of them kept chatting idly until the sun began to set. As dusk painted the sky, Babia stood up. I should get going. The man rose too, gently patting her head. Whenever you're feeling down, come find me here. As soon as he said that, his body began to dissolve into shimmering light, fading into the air. Babia stood there in a daze, her mind blank. It all felt like a dream. Moments later, her maid awoke, startled. Where did that man go? Did he hurt you? The maid blinked, confused. Who was he? I don't even remember what he said to you. That night, the princess sat by the window watching the heavy rain pour down. It's been raining for 3 days straight, she thought. No sign of stopping. I still haven't had a chance to visit the flower field again. Hugging her teddy bear close, she murmured, since entering the palace I've never looked forward to anything. But now, I just want to see him again. Her voice softened. He even asked me to give him a name. What a strange man. Leaning back on the couch, she stared at the ceiling, whispering to herself, what name should I give him? Just then a knock came at the door. Babia called out, who is it? Come in, it's not locked. She muttered under her breath, ugh, don't tell me it's that second prince again, probably here to pick a fight. The door creaked open and a calm male voice spoke. Princess Babia, how have you been lately? It was the royal steward who served the king. Seeing him, Babia quickly stood up. She lifted the hem of her dress and gave a polite curtsy. The man immediately stepped forward and stopped her. Your Highness, please don't. Aside from His Majesty and the future crown prince, you need not bow to anyone. That's royal protocol. Babia nodded. I understand. But in her heart she thought, you're one of the few people here who've treated me kindly. The man smiled warmly. Do you still remember me? Of course I do, she replied. You were the one who brought me into the palace. I never got the chance to thank you properly. The man bowed respectfully. No need for thanks, Your Highness. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Arl Edge, steward to His Majesty. I've been quite busy recently, so I haven't had the honor of visiting you sooner. He nodded approvingly. Your maid, Lisabel, is very capable. I'm glad she's by your side. Then his tone softened with slight guilt. Still, I feel uneasy assigning only one maid to care for you. Babia hugged her maid gently and smiled. It's all right. Lisabel's enough. I like her very much. The steward gave a small nod, then hesitated. Actually, there's another reason I came today. His Majesty has invited you once again to dine with him. Babia groaned. Again? After how the last dinner turned out, he still wants me to go. Can't he just let me have a little peace and quiet? The steward seemed to notice the princess's frustration. Bowing slightly, he said gently, Your Highness, do you not wish to attend? If that's the case, you can refuse. You are a princess. You have that right. Babia blinked in surprise. Really? Then I'm not going. I don't want to eat with father, and I definitely don't want to eat with Lillian. The steward smiled kindly. As you wish, Your Highness. I'll inform His Majesty of your decision. And please know, I'll always be on your side. After he left, Babia hugged her teddy bear and sighed. Barry, when is this rain ever going to stop? Her maid tilted her head. Barry? Is that the name of the toy? Babia nodded. Yeah, it's what that man gave me. The maid frowned slightly, deep in thought. That man? I think I've seen his portrait somewhere before. Babia froze, her eyes widening in shock. What do you mean? Where did you see his portrait? She pressed urgently. Just then, another knock echoed at the door. Babia frowned in irritation. Ugh, who is it this time? Can't they see I'm busy? Busy with what? It turned out to be none other than His Majesty the King. Babia and her maid immediately stood and bowed respectfully. The king smiled gently. May I come in and stay for a while? Meanwhile, elsewhere in the room, Barry was quietly wiping the sweat off its furry forehead. It had been quite the workout. Glancing at the dagger in its paw, it muttered, Not bad. I'll keep this. It might help protect my master. Then it slung the weapon across its back. The bear began cleaning the blood from its face, mumbling, Oh no, what a mess. If the master saw this, she'd be terrified. It looked at the fallen assassin, sighed softly, then pulled a bedsheet over him. There. That should do it. With everything taken care of, Barry climbed back onto the bed, settled into place and thought contentedly, now the master won't suspect a thing. The next morning, Babia stretched and murmured, the room next door was so quiet last night. Maybe I was just imagining things. She glanced around, every doll was still in its place. Looks like nothing happened after all, she said softly. But then something caught her eye, a crumpled bedsheet on the floor. Huh? What's that doing there? She walked over and carefully lifted the sheet. The sight beneath made her scream and stumble backward, collapsing against the wall, trembling. Her maid Lisabel rushed in, alarmed. Your Highness. What's wrong? Babia's voice quivered. She stammered, pointing at the floor. Lisabel followed her gaze, then let out a terrified cry. Guards. Someone, come quickly. Moments later, Steward Arl Edge burst into the room with several guards. Lisabel, what happened? Babia pointed shakily. I came in this morning and saw it, just like this. The steward frowned grimly. We'll investigate immediately. Lisabel, take the princess out of here. But Lisabel stood frozen, pale and trembling. Lisabel. The steward barked. Pull yourself together. The princess needs you. She blinked and nodded weakly. Wise. Understood. Babia's eyes drifted toward her teddy bear, and she noticed something odd. There was a strange new attachment on its back. Lisabel, something's off about Barry. Still dazed, the maid responded automatically. Weiss, I'll bring it to you right away. She added faintly, please don't move, Princess Babia. I'll make you some tea. Babia smiled softly. I'm fine. Go ahead. But inside she thought she must be going to find out what happened, and doesn't want to worry me. Her eyes returned to the bear. Good thing Lisabel didn't notice anything strange when she picked it up. Otherwise things would have gotten complicated. Babia frowned, studying the dried stains on Barry's fur. Who killed the assassin? Why is there blood on Barry? The blood's dry. It must have happened last night. But the marks look wiped clean. Who would bother cleaning a toy after committing murder? And why tie a dagger to its back? As Babia examined the blood-stained dagger in her hands, a small voice suddenly echoed through the room. That's dangerous, you know. Babia froze, eyes darting around. Who's there? She shouted. The teddy bear slowly turned its head and said in a soft, childlike tone, Master, please give the dagger back to me. Babia blinked hard, pressing a hand to her forehead. Am I hallucinating? Maybe I've just been too stressed today. Then the bear reached out a tiny paw and poked her gently. Master, open your eyes and look at me. Babia's jaw dropped. Barry. You're really talking. Since when could you talk? Barry tilted its head, smiling sweetly. I've always been able to. I just didn't want to scare you, so I kept quiet. Babia let out a sigh. Oh, but now you're not afraid of scaring me. Yeah, right. Enough pretending. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Okay, calm down. This is a magical world. Jenkins can use magic, so it's perfectly normal for him to give me a magic bear, she reasoned aloud. Regaining her composure, she asked, so that assassin last night, was it you who took him down? Barry hesitated, eyes shifting nervously. Yeah, no, not me. I'm way too cute to do something like that. Babia rolled her eyes. Oh, please. Just admit it, it was you. Barry scratched its head awkwardly, giving an innocent smile as the air filled with both tension and absurd cuteness. Suddenly, a deep, furious voice echoed from outside the door. What's going on here? What are the knights doing? It was the king, his expression stern as he barked orders. Find out who the assassin was, and how he managed to get into the palace. His voice grew tense. Where's the princess? Where is she now? Lisabel froze under the king's sharp tone, completely flustered. Just then Babia stepped forward from the crowd and said coldly, Don't yell at my maid. I'm right here. The king turned, eyes wide with relief, and rushed to embrace her. Bebe, thank the gods you're safe. It's my fault. I didn't care for you enough and put you in danger. You can't stay here any longer. Move into my palace and live with me. Babia stiffened. Wait. That means I'll have to live with Lillian. She shook her head frantically. No way. Absolutely not. The king's voice softened, but his words carried absolute authority. I understand your concern. That's why I'll have Lillian move out. After the assassination attempt, The king ordered the Red Wolf Knights to guard Beibia around the clock until she officially relocated to the royal palace. But Beibia found the whole situation troublesome. If Lillian learns father kicked her out just to move me in, she'll throw another royal tantrum for sure. She sighed. At least listen to me, will you? I don't want to move rooms, and I definitely don't need guards following me everywhere. The king's expression hardened. That's an order. You don't have the right to refuse. Hearing that, Beibia could only roll her eyes in defeat, muttering inwardly, stubborn old man. From that day on, the Red Wolf Knights stood guard day and night, leaving Beibia with no chance at all to speak privately with Barry. That morning, headmaid Anna came to remind Beibia of her etiquette lesson. As a princess, you must always maintain your grace. And when facing rudeness, you must respond firmly. Only then can you uphold your dignity. But before the lesson could begin, the door suddenly burst open. Lillian stormed in without warning. Beibia frowned, her tone sharp as a blade. Don't you know how to knock before entering? How rude. Get out. Lillian's face turned red with fury, trembling from head to toe. Anna quickly intervened, flustered. Princess Beibia, how could you speak to Princess Lillian like that? Beibia shot her an unimpressed look. Didn't you just teach me that I should scold rude people to maintain authority? Anna hesitated, then stammered, why yes, but that doesn't apply to Princess Lillian. Beibia's eyes narrowed dangerously. Why not? Enraged by the reminder of being kicked out of the palace, Lillian stomped her feet and shouted, You're the worst. Get out. Get out of here. Beibia finally lost patience and yelled right next to her ear. Can you shut up already? Lillian shrieked, clutching her ears, tears welling up instantly. Her maid, Lidelbau, rushed forward, raising her hand to strike Beibia. But Beibia remained perfectly calm, her gaze cold. Go on, hit me, you're just a maid. How dare you raise your hand against the king's daughter? Lidelbau froze, her hand suspended midair, face drained of color. At that moment, the crown prince entered the room. He glanced around with a frown. What's going on in here? Lillian immediately ran to him, clutching his arm and whining tearfully, Brother, Beibia bullied me. The crown prince glanced around calmly and said in a measured tone, Is that so? Funny, because I only saw Lidelbau with her hand raised, ready to strike. Lillian panicked instantly. No, brother. You misunderstood. Lidelbau was just reminding Beibia about her manners. She covered her ears and pouted dramatically. Manners don't matter right now. My ears still hurt. But the prince slowly lifted his hand, his expression unreadable. Lillian flinched in fear, ducking down with both hands over her head. Brother, what are you doing? Lidelbau cried out anxiously, Your Highness, please don't. Yet the prince didn't strike her. Instead, he smiled faintly. Relax, I was only going to teach you some manners. Tears welled up in Lillian's eyes. Why are you treating me like this too? The prince lowered his hand, his tone calm and detached. Father already told you. Both of you are princesses. You're supposed to live in harmony. But Lillian only cried harder, her voice trembling. Father made me move out. Now even you're scolding me. Ever since Beibia came to the palace, everyone started to hate me. What did I do wrong? Sobbing, she turned to storm out. You're all so cruel to me. But before she could leave, Beibia grabbed her wrist firmly. Her eyes were cold and sharp as steel. Don't think you can just play the victim and walk away. You still don't get it. Everyone blames you because of your own foolishness. Lillian struggled violently, screaming, Let go of me. You vile woman. Beibia gritted her teeth, muttering inwardly, What a lunatic. Just then the king appeared in the doorway, frowning. What is all this noise about? The moment Lillian saw him, she rushed forward, calling sweetly, Father. Beibia felt her stomach drop. Great. With this setup, I'm definitely the villain now. Lillian clung to the king's arm, her voice trembling with feigned innocence. Father, please help me. She tried to hit me, she yelled in my ear. My ears still hurt. The king sighed heavily. Speak properly, Lillian. What actually happened? Lillian pouted and lightly punched the king's chest. You're so mean, Father. It's all your fault. Beibia shivered in disgust. Here we go again. She turned to her maid and muttered, Let's go. I've had enough of this act. The crown prince stopped her. Why don't you just explain what happened? Beibia gave a bitter laugh. Explain? Look at them, so fatherly, so loving. What difference would it make? Her tone grew distant, almost weary. You wouldn't understand. When someone's always ignored, always blamed for everything, eventually they stop trying to defend themselves. The king raised his voice, stopping her. Babia, wait, I want to talk to you. I'll judge this matter fairly. Babia folded her arms, eyes sharp. Fairly? You're holding her in your arms while questioning me. That's your idea of fairness? The king faltered, momentarily speechless, and moved to set Lillian down. But Lillian protested immediately, whining, if you put me down I'll just lie on the floor and cry. Babia rolled her eyes, exhaling in exasperation. Forget it. Let's just say it's my fault. If she keeps screaming, my head's going to explode. The king saw Babia about to leave and called out, Bebe, wait, you're coming back to the palace with me tonight. There was an assassin. I won't let you stay here any longer. Lillian's expression darkened. So she gets to move into your palace because an assassin showed up. What if my place gets attacked too? Will I get to stay there then? The king's tone grew stern. There will be no more assassins. Every door will be locked and the culprit's identity is already under investigation. Lillian fell silent, biting her lip. Then she snapped, Lytlebell, we're leaving. Her maid quickly followed, bowing. Yes, your highness. Ever since Babia had moved into the royal palace after the attack, the king visited her almost every day. It was exhausting. Worse yet, the crown prince often dropped by too, using excuses like the view's better here. Babia sighed inwardly. At this rate, how am I supposed to escape? Today's the day I'm supposed to meet Jeninson. Suddenly, a knight downstairs shouted, Princess, it's dangerous out there. Please return to your room. Got it, Gilbin? Babia called back impatiently. She looked down from the balcony. Knights patrolled the entire courtyard. With this many guards around, how am I ever getting out of here? After a moment of thought, she whispered, Bearby. The little bear appeared instantly, tilting its head. Is master? What's wrong? Babia crouched beside it and whispered, can you go find Dr. Jeninson and tell her to help me? She can use magic, right? The bear frowned, resting its paw under its chin. No can do. The royal palace is surrounded by a ceiling barrier. My creator can't get inside. Babia blinked in confusion. Barrier? Why would there be something like that here? Bearby spread its tiny paws helplessly. If even you can't leave, master, how could a little bear like me possibly get out? Babia thought for a moment, then her eyes lit up. Then I'll just toss you off the balcony. Bearby froze in terror, throwing its paws up. Well, what? Master, how could you be so cruel? Babia crossed her arms impatiently. You said you can't do it, didn't you? You won't break anyway. I finally got Elizabeth out of the way. If I miss today, I might never get another chance. Bearby still looked reluctant, but Babia's determination left no room for argument. Just then, shouting echoed from outside the window. Tins, protect Princess Lillian. Red Wolf Knights. Assemble. The king rushed out of the palace, his face grim. Babia blinked, then smirked at I don't know what's going on, but this is my perfect chance. She quickly grabbed her pack, ready to run. Still, a thought nagged her. Wait a second, weren't the assassins supposed to be Lillian's doing? Why are they attacking her too? Bearby hopped onto her back cheerfully. Poor master, let's go. Babia chuckled. Bearby, didn't you once tell me you're super strong? Of course. I could lift you with one paw if I wanted to. The bear boasted proudly. Babia gave her backpack a shake and rolled her eyes. Then why are you riding on me? Get down and walk on your own. Bearby clung tightly to the backpack, shaking its head. No way. Besides, when you told Elizabeth to sew this bag, you specifically said it had to be big enough to fit me inside. Babia rolled her eyes. That's because I didn't know you could walk back then. Suddenly, Anna's voice called from outside. Princess Babia, are you ready for your lesson? Babia's face turned pale. Oh no, Anna's here. Bearby's ears perked up nervously. Master, she's already right at the door. Can we still escape? Babia smirked confidently. Relax, that I've got a plan. She darted into a nearby room just as the head maid, Anna, pushed open the main door. Wait, Bearby whispered, isn't this room supposed to be under repair? We're not allowed in here, right? Babia nodded with a grin. Exactly. One day I got curious and checked what was wrong. She pointed to a cracked corner of the floor. Turns out there's a hole here that I went down once. It connects to a secret tunnel under the palace. Bearby peeked at the dark opening and shuddered at its pitch black down there. I don't want to go. Anna's voice echoed again from the hall. Princess Babia, where are you? Babia didn't hesitate, she dove straight into the hole. Crawling through the narrow passage, she whispered triumphantly, "Told you. This has to be one of the royal escape tunnels." But after a few meters, her excitement faded into frustration. Ugh, why is it getting narrower? Are we even going the right way? Did we take the wrong turn? Barbie muttered behind her, sounding worried. "Quiet," Babia hissed, panting heavily. "I'm exhausted. Stop talking so much." Poor Barbie was squished flat in the narrow tunnel, its stuffing practically creaking. Finally, a faint light appeared ahead, the end of the tunnel. "Barbie," Babia called, gasping for air, "help me push that lid open. I can't reach it." "On it." Barbie puffed up proudly and with surprising strength shoved the cover open before climbing out. From below, Babia called, "If no one's around, hurry and pull me up." But a second later, the lid slammed shut. "Hey, you stupid bear. Where did you go? Get me out of here." Babia fumed. "You little traitor. How dare you leave me behind?" Suddenly the lid popped open again and Barbie's round head appeared. I thought I heard someone bad-mouthing me." Babia froze, then forced a grin. "What? No, you must have misheard. Who'd ever say that?" With Barbie's help, she finally climbed out into the open air, gasping in relief. But before she could relax, voices rang out nearby. "Search that side. Don't let anyone slip through." Babia's eyes widened at their coming. She grabbed Barbie and dove behind a large tree, peeking cautiously from behind it. Her heart nearly stopped when she saw who was leading the search. The king himself. "They're looking for the assassins. I can't get caught," she thought, holding her breath. "If I fail to escape today, they'll never let me out of their sight again." After a tense few minutes, the Red Wolf Knights finally dispersed. Babia wasted no time. She seized Barbie's paw and whispered, "Come on. Run." "Master, slow down." Barbie cried out as it bounced around in Babia's arms. "My arm's gonna fall off." "Stop whining. If you're so uncomfortable, then walk yourself." Babia snapped. Barbie clung tighter to her neck. "No way. The ground's dirty. Barbie wants cuddles. I'm dying here and you're still talking." She groaned. Then with a wicked grin, Babia lifted the bear up. "Fine. Let's see how fast you can reach the destination on your own." "Wah!" Barbie screamed as she was tossed through the air. Luckily, a gentle surge of magic caught the bear midair. Dr. Jeninson appeared just in time to catch it safely. He frowned slightly. "No matter what, princess, you can't just throw Barbie like that." Babia huffed. "Perfect timing. I'm returning this thing to you right now." Jeninson blinked in surprise. "Return her? But she's supposed to be your guardian. Is she not working properly?" "Guardian?" Babia folded her arms. "She won't even walk on her own. She's the laziest thing I've ever seen." Jeninson scratched his head awkwardly. That might be my fault. When I created her, I was, being a little lazy myself. Guess that part of me rubbed off on her." Babia arched a brow. "So you're saying her chronic laziness comes from you?" "Yeah, I suppose so," he admitted sheepishly. Barbie's eyes welled up with tears. "Master? You don't want me anymore?" Babia sighed, glaring at it for a moment before relenting. "Fine, I'll forgive you this time." Instantly, Barbie's tears vanished and it leapt onto her face, snuggling happily. "Hey, Master's the best. I promise I'll never make you mad again." Seeing Babia and Barbie covered in dust and dirt, Jeninson raised a hand, summoning a few water spirits. The shimmering blue wisps circled gracefully, sprinkling droplets that gently washed the grime away. Babia's eyes sparkled as she watched them dance. "Wow, water spirits. Having magic must feel amazing." Jeninson chuckled. "So you want to learn magic too?" "Of course I do." Babia replied eagerly. "Can you teach me?" He studied her for a moment, then sighed regretfully. "I'm afraid not. You don't have any magical aptitude." Babia slumped her shoulders with a sigh. "Ugh, could my life be any worse? First I get switched at birth and now I can't even learn magic?" Jeninson rubbed the back of his neck, awkwardly smiling. "You're not wrong. She not only took your place but was born with magic in her veins." "Wait, what?" Babia's eyes widened. "You're telling me she can use magic?" He spread his hands helplessly. "Sadly, yes. She doesn't realize it yet, but her magical potential is quite high." "Unbelievable," Babia muttered, frozen in disbelief. The realization hit her hard. Her chest felt tight with frustration and disappointment. Jeninson's tone softened. "Don't be so down. You still have me. And remember, you're her daughter. I'll do everything I can to help you. If necessary, I'd even give you my power. Babia blinked, confused. Her daughter. Wait, who's she? Jeninson smiled mysteriously. That's a secret. Babia pouted. You and your secrets. Fine, if you won't tell me anything, I won't tell you anything either. Oh, right. Barbie said you can't enter the palace. Is that true? Jeninson nodded. Yes. The former king placed a powerful barrier around it. If I step inside, my body would melt instantly. The result would be much worse than Barbie described. He then extended a hand toward her. So, Princess Babia, may I hold your hand? Babia hesitated, then placed her hand in his and smiled. Sure. Let's go visit the market first, then the temple, and finally your house, okay? Jeninson blinked, a bit embarrassed. My house. Sure. All right then. He smiled softly. Hand me your backpack. I'll take care of it. Now, close your eyes. A sudden gust of wind swept past Babia, and she felt her body lift off the ground. When she opened her eyes, she realized she was floating high up in the air. Wah! She screamed in surprise. Jeninson chuckled softly. That's why I told you to keep your eyes closed. Babia clung tightly to his arm. You could have warned me we'd be flying this high. A moment later, they gently descended back to the ground. Babia exhaled in relief, patting her chest. Finally, solid ground. Jeninson couldn't help but laugh. You and Barbie both look like you survived a war. Don't be so dramatic. Babia's cheeks turned pink. Whatever. A brand new day has just begun. Suddenly, Jeninson looked thoughtful. Our silver hair stands out too much. We'll need to change it. Oh right. Everyone in the palace has silver hair. I totally forgot about that, Babia said. Jeninson waved his hand, casting a soft golden glow. Their silver strands shimmered, turning into a warm golden hue. Babia twirled a lock of her hair, smiling brightly. Wow, now we really look like father and daughter. Jeninson froze for a second, the word father echoing in his mind. Babia tilted her head curiously. Jeninson, don't you have any family? He hesitated for a long moment before answering quietly no. Babia took his hand gently. Then for today, I'll be your daughter. She grinned and tugged at his sleeve. Come on, Dad. Let's go explore the marketplace. Jeninson blinked in surprise, then smiled, a rare, genuine warmth softening his face. All right, let's go. Meanwhile, inside the palace, tension filled the air. The king's furious voice echoed through the hall. Did I not order you to guard her carefully? How did an assassin get inside? One of the knights fell to one knee and stammered, Your Majesty. The assassin appeared in Princess Lillian's chambers. Upon hearing that his daughter had been attacked, the king immediately dropped everything and rushed to her side. The false princess, Lillian, saw him enter and instantly threw her arms wide. Father, hug me. I was so scared. The king hurried forward, pulling her into his embrace. Lillian, are you all right? Did you get hurt? Lillian forced a trembling voice, pretending to cry. Father, Lillian was so frightened. Meanwhile, the Red Wolf Knights had already subdued the assassin and brought him before the king. But as the king laid eyes on the captured intruder, his brows furrowed sharply. Something about this didn't sit right. Turning back to Lillian, his tone grew heavier. Lillian, tell your father, where exactly did you see the assassin come from? The maid hurriedly tried to explain, Your Majesty, the assassin. Silence. The king cut her off sharply. I want to hear it from Lillian herself. His voice dropped low, firm and heavy. Tell your father, where did the assassin come from? Lillian forced a stiff smile and stammered, He came in through the door. The king's tone grew sharper, through the door, and he was dressed like that when he entered? Lillian froze, her eyes darting nervously. Cold sweat began to bead on her forehead. Suddenly, the king gripped her shoulders tightly, his voice echoing through the chamber. Lillian, look at me, look into your father's eyes and answer. Startled, Lillian flinched and blurted out, Why, he came in just like that. The knights exchanged uneasy glances. That doesn't make any sense. No one could just stroll through the front gate dressed like that without being noticed. Exactly, and the guards were all at their posts. Besides, doesn't Princess Lillian seem a little too calm for someone who was just attacked? But instead of getting angry, the king smiled faintly. It's fine. Perhaps Lillian was frightened and can't remember clearly. He then turned to the maid and added in a calm, deliberate tone, An assassin entering openly through the main gate. Impossible, wouldn't you agree? Stepping toward the bound man, he studied him coldly. So this is the assassin? Yes, your majesty. The knights replied in unison. The king paused for a moment, then ordered, "Butler, escort Princess Lillian away from here." The maid stepped forward nervously. "Your majesty, please allow me to take the princess." "I told you to stay," the king interrupted sharply. "Do you not understand an order?" Lillian's face went pale. She suddenly screamed, "Why are you sending me away? I don't want to go. I'm not leaving," lied Bal. But the butler ignored her protest and simply lifted her into his arms, carrying her out as her voice faded down the corridor. In the next instant, the king unsheathed his gleaming sword. "Whoever dared harm my daughter, none of you will walk away alive." The captured assassin turned pale, trembling as fear seized his eyes. The maid hurried forward, her voice shaking. "Your majesty, please wait." The king turned sharply toward her. "What is it you want to say?" "Why, your majesty, shouldn't we at least ask who the assassin's master is first? Killing him now might be too hasty." The king's gaze grew icy. "And since when do you tell me how to handle justice? Or," his tone darkened, "is there a particular name you're hoping to hear?" The false princess's maid froze as the tip of the royal sword pointed straight at her. "You dote on Lillian every day," the king said coldly, "yet now you're defending the one who tried to kill her. That must mean you already knew. This assassin posed no threat, didn't you?" Suddenly Lillian burst into the room shouting, "Light Bell! Why are you sitting on the floor?" The king's expression stiffened. "Lillian, I told you to leave this place." "No," she protested, stamping her foot. "We made a promise. Lillian must stay here." The king's brows furrowed deeper, his tone edged with restrained fury. "A promise? With whom exactly?" Lillian looked flustered, stammering as her voice trembled, barely audible. I didn't promise anyone anything." The king crouched down, his calm yet commanding gaze fixed on her. "Then tell me, how does Lillian wish to handle this matter?" Her eyes darted nervously, unable to meet his. Though frightened, she still managed to whisper, "I don't want anyone to die. Father, please let him go." The king's hand brushed gently against her cheek, his tone layered with weary emotion. "I've raised you for 10 years. Every tantrum, every tear. You think I didn't see? But those words you just said, they are not truly your own." Then the king seized Lillian by the shoulders and forcefully turned her around. He covered her eyes with his hand and said quietly, "Don't look." In the next heartbeat, amid Light Bell's horrified cry, a flash of steel filled the air. The assassin's life ended in an instant. The king turned his head slowly, his eyes sharp and cold as a blade, fixing on Light Bell. "Light Bell, was it this child who ordered you? And the assassin who tried to kill Babia? Was that your doing as well?" Light Bell trembled violently, collapsing to the ground, her face drained of color. Inwardly she screamed, "It's over. Completely over." She bit her lip, filled with regret. She should never have believed Lillian's foolish scheme, that pretending to be attacked would win the king's sympathy. Now nothing she said could change a thing. The only thought left was to survive the night, and find a way to flee with Lillian. But the king left no room for escape. His tone was as cold as forged iron. "From this moment, Lillian and Light Bell are confined to this chamber. The Red Wolf Knights will stand guard that if Light Bell attempts to flee, kill her on the spot." The Red Wolf Knights immediately dropped to one knee, shouting in unison, "Yes, your majesty. We'll guard them tightly. Nothing, not even a mosquito, will get out." After that incident, the fake Princess Lillian completely lost the king's affection. The days of being his spoiled darling were over. Her shine had faded to dust. Meanwhile, the real Princess Babia had snuck out of the palace. And the first thing she did after escaping, naturally, find food. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at the table full of delicious dishes. Beside her, Bear Bao couldn't stop drooling, flailing his tiny arms. "I want to eat. I want to eat too." Babia quickly covered his mouth and whispered, "Shh, you forgot you're supposed to be a toy. If anyone hears you talking, we're done for." A waiter walked over with a smile. "Miss, your teddy bear has fallen onto the plate." "It's fine," Babia said awkwardly. "Just leave it there." In truth, Bear Bao had deliberately fallen onto the plate so he could sneak a bite of the food up close. Babia laughed, taking a spoonful for herself. "Not bad at all." In no time the entire table was wiped clean. Rubbing her full stomach, Babia sighed contentedly. "So good. The palace food might be fancy, but eating like this feels way more relaxing." What she didn't expect was for Jeninson to calmly say, "All right, time to pay." Babia froze and glared at him. "Excuse me. You're the adult here. How can you make me pay for lunch?" Then came the awkward part. Jeninson spread his hands helplessly. "I didn't bring any money. I usually don't need it." Babia froze, completely dumbfounded. She had always assumed Jeninson was some rich young noble. Turns out he was broke. Meanwhile, Jeninson looked perfectly calm, since he thought Babia, being a princess, must have money. But neither of them had a single coin. Babia glared at them both. "What are you looking at me for? Do I look like I hide gold in my stomach?" Jeninson turned his gaze toward Bear Bao, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. "All right then, we'll just pawn something." He pulled out a glowing bracelet from his pocket. Babia leaned closer, curious. "You're gonna pawn that? Is it expensive?" "No idea," Jeninson admitted. "Someone gave it to me. I don't even know what it's made of." Babia sighed. "That's a gift. You can't just pawn it. And if it's not worth enough, the owner's gonna be even angrier." Babia suddenly stood up, whispering, "Forget it. Let's just run for it. We'll figure out how to pay later." Without another word, she grabbed Bear Bao and dashed out the door. Jeninson hesitated for a moment, then sighed and left the bracelet behind on the table. Moments later, the restaurant owner returned to find the table empty and roared, "What the?" They ran off without paying. As she ran, Babia gritted her teeth. "A princess like me reduced to dining and dashing. This is beyond embarrassing." Suddenly, the owner's furious shout echoed behind them. "Hey, stop right there." Babia's eyes widened. "Oh no, he's chasing us." Chaos erupted in the streets. Babia and Jeninson sprinted ahead while the furious owner chased after them. It was like a full-on royal meal escape. Gasping for breath, Babia shouted, "Aren't you a magician? Cast something like a flash spell or something to help us escape." Jeninson smacked his forehead. "Right, I do no magic." Babia nearly tripped from rage. "You idiot. You're only remembering that now." Just then, a squad of royal guards appeared in the distance. The restaurant owner shouted frantically, "Guards, stop those two, they didn't pay for their meal." Babia gasped, "Oh no. The guards are coming, we're doomed." But to her surprise, the soldiers rushed straight past them, yelling, "Out of the way, we're searching for the missing princess." Babia blinked, confused. "Wait, what? I just left home for a while and now Lillian's missing. What is she up to this time?" Before she could think further, the breathless restaurant owner caught up. "Finally, I've got you now." Babia quickly ducked behind Jeninson. "Please let me explain." The owner raised the bracelet Jeninson had left behind. "I thought you were just freeloaders, but you actually left this behind. This bracelet is made from rare metal. It's worth a fortune. You could eat at my place for a lifetime with this. I can't accept it." Jeninson chuckled. "Keep it, your food was really that good." The owner shook his head. "No meal is worth that much. Please take it back." "We're the ones who caused trouble," Jeninson said kindly. "Consider it compensation for making you chase after us." "Are you serious? I can really keep it?" "Yes," Jeninson nodded with a smile. "And we'll definitely come back for more someday." The owner left, grinning ear to ear. "I'll be waiting, with the best food ready for you." As soon as he was gone, Jeninson sighed regretfully. "So, that bracelet was actually that valuable. Guess I just gave away a fortune." He scratched his head, muttering, "That was a gift from my brother too. What kind of idiot gives someone something that expensive?" Babia tugged gently on Jeninson's sleeve, worry flashing across her face. "That bracelet, it looked pretty valuable. Are you sure it's okay to just give it away?" Jeninson smiled softly and took her hand. "It's fine. It's something from long ago. You, Babia, are what matters most to me now. No amount of jewelry could ever compare." He chuckled, changing the subject. "Come on, didn't you say you wanted to see the temple? I'll take you there." Soon, a grand white temple came into view. Its towering walls gleamed like polished jade, radiant under the sunlight, magnificent and awe-inspiring. Babia looked up the endless staircase leading to the entrance and groaned. "Seriously, that many steps. How am I supposed to climb that?" Jeninson grinned mischievously. "What's wrong? Can't make it. Maybe we should just head back down." His tone dripped with teasing sarcasm. Babia clenched her fists. "It's just a bunch of stairs. Easy." She huffed, charging upward. Jeninson followed behind Babia. a faint smile playing on his lips as he watched her stubborn determination. She climbed the endless stairs, panting hard, while Jeninson strolled casually with his hands in his pockets as if taking a walk. Soon he caught up to her, leaning down slightly with a teasing grin. "Tired already? Want me to carry you up?" Baby glared at him through gritted teeth. "No way, just carry Bear Bao for me." Bear Bao immediately shouted, "Master, don't abandon me. What, you think people walk around with dirty feet? Oh wait, I can wash mine." Watching the two bicker, Jeninson couldn't help but laugh. "Honestly, I think Bear Bao just can't bear to be away from you." Just then Jeninson suddenly stopped mid-step. His gaze turned serious as he said softly, "I'm afraid I can't go any farther." Baby froze, then hurried to his side. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" she asked, panic in her voice. Jeninson pointed toward the stairs ahead, giving a helpless smile. "No, it's not that. There's a barrier here, just like the one in the royal palace that I can't pass through." Baby frowned, raising her hand as if to stop him. "Another barrier? Really? You're not just saying that because you're tired of climbing, are you? That trick won't work on me." Jeninson gave a weary chuckle. "You wound me, princess. I'd love to go with you, but this time I truly can't." Jeninson took out a faintly glowing necklace and handed it to Baby with a serious look. "From here on, you'll have to go alone. This magic pendant can teleport you anywhere in an emergency, but only once. So unless you're truly in danger, don't use it lightly." Baby stared at the sparkling necklace and couldn't help but grin behind her hand. "This looks pretty expensive. You keep saying you're broke, but I think you're secretly loaded." Jeninson raised an eyebrow, half amused. "You're plotting something again, aren't you?" "Nope. Nothing at all." Baby laughed nervously and quickly turned away. "Come on, Bear Bao, let's go." But Bear Bao looked uneasy. Master, do I really have to go too?" "What, you don't want to?" Baby frowned. "It's just, my creator can't enter the barrier, and since I'm powered by his magic." Before he could finish, Baby tossed him straight into Jeninson's arms. "Fine then, stay. I'll go by myself." Without another glance back, she strode toward the temple steps. "It's just a temple. What's there to be scared of? Jeninson can't come, and Bear Bao's a total coward anyway." As she passed through the shimmering barrier, the magic dye in her hair began to fade away. By the time she reached the temple gate, her hair had returned to its original silver white, gleaming under the sunlight. Gazing up at the magnificent white temple, she whispered in awe, "So tall. This must be the temple." Suddenly, a calm voice echoed from beyond the doors. "Welcome." The grand gates slowly opened, revealing a silver-haired man in a white robe. "Greetings," he said with a gentle smile. "I am the temple's high priest, Beloche." Baby thought for a moment and quickly made up a name. "My name is Yana." "Miss Yana, are you here alone?" Beloche asked calmly, tilting his head. "Thought there would be 3 of you." Baby waved her hands nervously. "No, it's just me really." Her heart skipped a beat. There's no way he could see the bottom from here. How did he know there were others? And now that she looked closer, he actually resembled the Emperor. Especially that icy, detached aura that made her shiver. Beloche caught her unease but merely smiled. "Perhaps I was mistaken. Please come in." Baby walked along the crimson carpet, her steps echoing in the silent hall. "It's so quiet here," she murmured. "Doesn't anyone come to pray?" "The divine has no need for formal prayers," Beloche replied gently. "Only a sincere heart matters." "So, are there no other priests here?" she asked curiously. "One is enough," he said with a faint smile. "Only one needs to speak with the gods." "But what about cleaning? Cooking? A place this tall must be terrible for grocery shopping." "I require no food, no worldly needs," Beloche said serenely. "I dwell with the divine. That is all I need." Hearing that, Baby muttered inwardly, "Wow. He's even more full of himself than Jeninson. At least Jeninson's seen a market before." At that moment, Beloche spoke again, his calm voice echoing through the marble hall. "You've come a long way. I assume you seek something important?" Baby took a steady breath, her tone turning firm. "I want to know about the divine realm." Beloche smiled faintly, a trace of mystery in his eyes. "The divine realm," he murmured. "So, the princess has endured countless trials just to reach this temple, and to ask me about the sacrifice." With that, he turned away, walking deeper into the hall, his steps crisp and measured. Babia hurried after him, her voice rising. Hey, are you gonna tell me or not? Give me a straight answer. She chased him through the corridor until they arrived before a massive statue. Is that the god? She whispered, gazing up at the towering figure. Beloche stopped and lifted his gaze to the statue. He is the one who governs all life, he said softly. But there's no need to crane your neck, his face cannot be seen here. Well, you could have said that earlier, Babia muttered, rubbing her sore neck. Now I can't even feel my shoulders. Taking another breath, she asked again, so, can you finally tell me what the divine realm really is? It's no secret, Beloche replied calmly. Almost everyone in the kingdom knows. Why come all the way here to ask me? Babia gave an awkward smile. Because everyone knows I was too embarrassed to ask. People would laugh at me. In truth, she was the only one left in the dark. The entire kingdom had hidden the truth from her. The girl chosen as the sacrificial candidate. Beloche nodded solemnly. The divine realm is simple. It is the sealed world created to punish those who stole divine power. Only by offering the girl who inherits the greatest godly power, before she comes of age, can the rest of humanity continue to exist. Hearing those words, Babia thought to herself, the ones who stole divine power. That must mean the royal family. And the girl who inherits the greatest divine power. Could that be Lillian? Jeninson said, I have no magical talent, yet I'm the real daughter of the king. How could I have none while Lillian does? When the high priest took the chosen girl, didn't he notice something strange? Even Jeninson could see it. How could a priest not? She looked around carefully. This was indeed the same temple described in the book. The entire kingdom worshipped one god, the ancient deity Abutage. Yet the temple stood eerily empty. In the story, after Lillian returned from the temple, the emperor and his knights came to investigate. But by then the temple was abandoned, desolate, as if it had never been alive. And now, it already felt that way. Lost in thought, Babia suddenly flinched when Beloche's voice cut through the silence. Are you all right? He asked gently. I'm fine. Babia waved her hands quickly. Thank you for explaining everything, I'll be going now. She gave a polite bow, then hurried toward the exit. But as she reached the door, Beloche's calm, echoing words stopped her in her tracks. If you never try to change, then nothing will ever change. If you truly wish to avoid repeating the same fate. What did you just say? Babia turned sharply, eyes wide. Beloche smiled faintly. Nothing, merely talking to myself. Beloche slowly closed the great doors of the temple, the echo of stone grinding against stone rumbling through the hall. Babia lifted her gown slightly and offered a final bow to the priest. Then she turned and hurried out, almost breaking into a run. Down the mountain, Jeninson and Barry were anxiously waiting. The moment Babia appeared, Jeninson stepped forward to ask, but she grabbed his arm and bolted without a word. Right now, only one thought filled her mind. Run. Run as fast as possible. She didn't stop until she reached the crowded marketplace, gasping for breath. We should be safe now. Jeninson frowned in confusion. Babia, what happened? That priest, Beloche, she said, her face tense. He was strange that he never saw you, but somehow knew I wasn't alone. He knew about me. Jeninson's eyes widened in disbelief. That's impossible. Suddenly, Barry raised her little paws and called out, Master. Babia snapped, what now? Master doesn't want me anymore? Barry whimpered. When I didn't go with you, the creator scolded me. Her glass eyes shimmered with tears. Babia huffed. So you only come crying after being scolded? Useless. I should return you. Wah. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. Barry sobbed pitifully. Babia sighed and shook her head. Fine. I'll forgive you this time. At once, Barry squealed with joy and launched herself at Babia's face, hugging and rubbing against her with giddy excitement. Jeninson rubbed his chin thoughtfully. We should probably head back. What you said makes me uneasy, and we still don't know how far that priest's perception reaches. Babia peeled Barry off her face and frowned. Head back. Back where exactly? Jeninson scratched his head, looking a bit embarrassed. Well, to the palace, of course. What? Babia pouted, cheeks puffed in protest. Didn't you say you'd show me your home? What's this? Changing your mind already? Or do you have some dark secret you're hiding there? With a helpless sigh, Jeninson finally reached out and took Babia's hand. All right. You win. I'll take you to my place. Meanwhile, back in the royal palace, tension filled the air. The king slammed his palm on the table, his voice echoing through the hall. How is there still no word? Is finding one child really that difficult? Did you even distribute her portrait as I ordered? The steward bowed low, trembling. Why, your majesty? Princess Babya's portrait has not yet been completed. What? The king's face darkened, his fist striking the table. Every royal has a portrait. She's been in the palace for days. How could there not be one? It's all because of that fake assassination plot. I was deceived by Lillian's trick, and that's when Babya escaped. Suddenly, the crown prince burst through the doors, his voice tense. Father, how is it going? Have you found Babya yet? The king's expression darkened instantly. Fury welled up in his eyes. How is it going? That's all you can say. Your sister is missing and you don't even look concerned. The prince lowered his head in silence, thoughts running cold. That it's always the same. That if I show worry, he says I'm panicking. That if I stay calm, he says I don't care. The king slammed his hand on the table and rose sharply. Enough waiting. I'll search for her myself. As he strode past the prince, the young man finally spoke, his tone steady but laced with bitterness. You only start to care now. Don't you think that's laughable? What did you say? The king turned back sharply, eyes blazing. She's been in the palace for so long, yet you acted like she didn't exist, the prince said coldly. Now suddenly you're desperate to find her? He met his father's glare without flinching. Your so-called concern is only because she reminds you of your younger self. If that's all your love amounts to, then keep it to yourself. You don't love her, father. You only love your reflection. The king's jaw tightened, voice trembling with anger. What did you just say? Are you accusing me? You're the almighty emperor, father. How could I dare to accuse you? The prince's tone was calm, but his eyes carried a quiet ache. I just don't want Babya to end up like me. If she's managed to escape from you, then let her go. If you don't loosen your grip, the only one who'll be hurt is her. The king trembled with rage, his hands tightening on the edge of the table. Like you? Are you saying you're a victim? That I wronged you? The prince clutched his chest, his voice cracking. How could I ever call myself a victim? I was the one who hurt mother. Who made you lose the woman you loved and made Gino lose his mother. He raised his head, eyes filled with guilt and defiance. I was the one who caused it all. And that's what you think too, isn't it? The king turned away sharply, his tone cold. I never blamed you. Didn't I keep you by my side all these years? The prince gave a bitter laugh. If you truly want to care for her, then do it with sincerity. Otherwise, one day there'll be no one left willing to stay by your side. The king clenched his fists, teeth grinding as he swallowed his anger. Meanwhile, Babya followed Jeninson to what he called his home. Here we are, he said with a grin, spreading his arms wide. Welcome to my place. Babya blinked at the open field before her. Nothing but grass and wind. Are you kidding me? She groaned. No roof, no floor, and you call this a house? I'm not lying, Jeninson said. This really is my home. I've lived here for a long time. Babya frowned. You don't look like someone who camps outside. A normal person would have a roof at least. Jeninson patted her head. What if I'm not human? You're scaring me again, she said, hitting him lightly. Tell me the truth. Who are you? You already know, he said calmly. I'm Jeninson. Don't lie to me, she argued. That name, I gave it to you. He smiled. That's the strange part. The name you gave me happens to be my real one. Maybe it's because you're not from this timeline. You sensed it. Babya's eyes widened, completely stunned. Her mind felt struck by lightning, yet she forced herself to act calm. Time, sixth sense. I don't get it. What are you talking about? Jeninson smiled slightly. Don't panic, Babya. Or rather, the one inside her body. The real Babya's soul shattered long ago. Her fragment summoned you here. Babya's tone turned sharp. The past. What happened before? This world once collapsed, Jeninson said quietly. Time was reversed. Everything is repeating. So you knew from the start that I'm not from this world? Jeninson nodded. Yes. Babya lowered her gaze, her voice soft. So, you always knew I wasn't really her. No, you are Babya, Jeninson said firmly. When the world returned to its origin, her soul didn't come back. She vanished completely. But now you're here. You are the only Babya that exists. Then tell me, she asked quietly, how can I survive until the end? I don't know, he admitted. That answer is something you have to find yourself. She pouted. You always say that. When it comes to the important part, suddenly you don't know. And you call this empty field your home. How reliable are you really? Jeninson bent down, picking a small flower. This truly is my home, because it's filled with my memories. He looked up and said softly, you should go back. He'll be worried about you. Babia frowned. She didn't want to return to the palace. Jeninson gently placed his hand on her head. They say pain can only be healed by another kind of pain, he murmured. I believe you can do it, Babia. What do you mean? Babia asked, puzzled. Jeninson looked at her softly. You'll understand one day. You must have seen the real Babia before, she said. What kind of person was she? A sad one, he replied. She lived watching everyone's mood, afraid of being hated, afraid of being abandoned. She was pitiful. Babia sighed. I've read her story. I always hated the king for what he did. I didn't know her very soul was gone. Jeninson smiled. But you're different. The Babia now shines, like a star in the dark. Are you complimenting me? She asked shyly. When he nodded, she blushed. Thanks, though that was kinda cheesy. Come on, little princess, he chuckled. Go home, your father's probably worried sick. Babia hugged Bearbao tightly. Alright, I'm going. Next time we meet, I'll find out who you really are. Jeninson watched her leave with a faint smile, saying nothing at all. Inside the palace, servants and maids were searching everywhere for Babia. Hiding behind a tree, she whispered, so many people looking for me. How am I supposed to sneak back in now? Suddenly, a hand tapped her shoulder. He jumped in shock. What are you doing here? It was Jeninson. He'd followed her, worried that something might have happened. Grabbing his sleeve, Babia whispered, hey, you can use magic, right? Do me a favor. Just then, someone shouted, we found Princess Babia. Servants rushed toward the voice. Babia took the chance to crawl out quietly from behind the tree. Jeninson watched her get away safely before his figure slowly faded from sight. With his magic's help, she reached the palace's secret passage. Too easy. I'm a genius. Bearbao chirped in her arms, yes, master is the smartest. Soon Babia reached the end of the secret passage. She carefully pushed Bearbao out first. Alright, go catch the bag for me, then I'll. Before she could finish, Bearbao was suddenly yanked away by a strong force. Standing there was the crown prince. He held Bearbao by the ear, staring at it with a puzzled look. Seeing this, Babia's heart skipped a beat. Something was definitely wrong. The crown prince turned toward Babia, his eyes glistening with tears. She gave a faint, helpless smile. Brother, she said softly. He tossed Bearbao aside without a thought. Then, without warning, he pulled her into a tight embrace. Are you alright? Why did you run off like that? Babia blinked in confusion at the sudden hug. Because I was worried about you. His voice trembled, laced with anger. You don't have to grab me all of a sudden like that, she mumbled, cheeks turning red. Reaching up, she pinched his cheek. Are you really my brother? Or a wolf in a prince's disguise? He pushed her hand away with a half-smile. You're getting dirt all over my face. Babia giggled. That's more like you, our narcissistic prince. He sighed. I mean it, I was really worried. You just disappeared without saying a word. Babia scooped Bearbao off the ground and said matter-of-factly, hey, I left a note. Just then the butler burst through the door. Your Highness. Someone said they spotted the princess in the forest. But before he could finish, his eyes landed on Babia standing nearby. Princess Babia. It's really you. I'm not dreaming, am I? Babia scratched her head awkwardly and gave a sheepish grin. Hey, it's me. The butler looked her up and down, his eyes full of worry. Our beautiful princess. What happened to you? You look so worn out. Sorry for worrying you. I'm fine, she said softly. That's all that matters. I'll inform His Majesty right away. Before Babia could say a word, the butler darted off in a flash. As he left, Babia sighed deeply. Her expression turned uneasy. Ugh, I'm really not ready to face father yet. The crown prince gently brushed the dust off Babia's dress and said softly, I know you don't want to see him. Honestly, I don't either. But there's no way around it. Babia lowered her gaze, thinking to herself, it seems he doesn't get along with the king. But would it be too blunt if I asked? Suddenly, the door burst open. The king rushed in, drenched in sweat. He immediately pulled Babia into his arms. You scared me half to death. Grabbing her by the shoulders, he demanded, where on earth have you been? I left a note saying I wanted to go out for a while, she said innocently. I found a secret passage and tried to sneak out, but I got lost. So I just slept there for a bit and came back. The king's worry only deepened. Even so, you still tried to run away. Why, Babia? Have I treated you so badly? Babia grumbled inwardly. Ugh, so troublesome. Can't he just stop asking already? I need to find a way out of this. Then suddenly she went limp and pretended to faint. The king panicked and rushed forward to catch her. But the crown prince was faster. He caught her in his arms. That's enough. How far do you intend to push her? He snapped at the king. Italian, you. The king was stunned at a loss for words. Holding Babia firmly, the prince said coldly, I'll take care of her. Don't follow. Babia cracked open one eye and muttered under her breath, did I overdo it? Hope I didn't actually scare him. She gave the prince's chest a little tap. I'm fine now, you can put me down. Quiet. If you're going to act it through, he replied flatly. Babia froze in embarrassment. So he knew the whole time. Soon the crown prince carried Babia back to her room. Seeing the mess around, Babia frowned. What happened here? Not just here, the prince said, irritation in his tone. The whole palace was turned upside down looking for you. Babia lowered her head, sitting quietly on the edge of the bed. I'm sorry, she murmured. After a brief silence, the prince asked, why do you hate him? Hate who? She blinked. The king, of course, the prince replied. Don't pretend, I can see it. Babia frowned and asked softly, then why do you hate him? The prince stared at his reflection in the window for a moment before speaking calmly. He doesn't like me. So why should I like him? Is that a problem? Why doesn't he like you? Babia asked curiously. The prince waved his hand. Too many questions. Get some rest. As he turned to leave, he added with a smirk, by the way, your acting's worse than Lillian's. You need more practice. I'm not competing with her, Babia huffed. After the prince left, Bearbao suddenly gasped, oh my gosh. My little heart's gonna explode. That guy's so weird. Weird? What do you mean? Babia asked. Bearbao replied earnestly, he seems to have some kind of mysterious power. Royalty all have magic, Babia replied. No, he's different. His power isn't like the creators at all, Bearbao insisted. My ear feels strange where he touched it. I need to find the creator to fix it. How are you going to do that? Didn't you say this place is sealed by a barrier? Babia asked, worried. But the next second, Bearbao shot out like a flash. Babia quickly reached out to grab it. It's too high. Be careful, she shouted nervously. Then she placed Bearbao into a basket. Don't move, I'll lower you down. Soon Bearbao landed safely. Thank you, master. I'll come back once I'm fixed. With that, Bearbao dashed away in a blur. Suddenly, the sound of a door opening came from behind Babia. He quickly turned around and froze in shock. The king entered, followed by a crowd of attendants. Lillian rushed forward, hugging Babia tightly. Princess, you're awake? Thank goodness. The king approached with concern. Babia, how do you feel? I've brought some physicians to give you a full examination. Hearing that, Babia's heart skipped a beat. Oh no, so many doctors. My fake illness is going to be exposed. The royal physicians surrounded Babia, asking about her condition, but after a thorough check, they found nothing unusual. Babia grew increasingly nervous. If I keep pretending, they'll definitely find out. The king's expression darkened. So, you found nothing? Are you all useless? One physician leaned close to the king's ear, whispering something quietly. The king nodded and waved his hand. The physicians quickly withdrew. The doctor told me, the king said calmly, that your condition may be because your power hasn't awakened yet. Awakened power? Babia repeated in confusion. Yes. Royal children are born with power. You may not understand now, but it's part of our royal duty. But I don't have any power, Babia said softly, lowering her head. If I never awaken it, will you stop wanting me? Will I be cast out of the palace? The king froze, visibly flustered by her words. If that's what it takes to be acknowledged, then I'd rather have no such power, Babia said quietly, turning toward the door. The king quickly said, no, you misunderstand me. Even if you never awaken your power, you are still my daughter. I would never send you away. Babia smiled faintly. Fine, you said it. When you find out I don't have that power, don't you dare take it back. After returning to her chamber, Babia asked Elizabeth to prepare her bath. Soon she was soaking in warm water, a relaxed smile on her face. The maid stood silently beside her. Babia noticed and asked, Elizabeth, are you all right? The next moment the maid suddenly hugged her tightly, crying, "Did I do something wrong? You even snuck out without telling me. That dark tunnel must have been so scary. It's all my fault." Lizabeth began sobbing uncontrollably. Babia gently consoled her. "Lizabeth, your clothes are soaked. Don't cry, it's my fault this time. I made you worry." She patted the maid's back softly. "It's not your fault. I won't do it again. Please forgive me, okay?" Lizabeth was moved even more and hugged Babia again. Babia thought to herself, "If I had taken you with me that day, Father would have vented all his anger on you." Then she suddenly asked, "By the way, I heard something happened to Lillian." Lizabeth wiped her tears and nodded. "Yes, something serious happened." Babia learned from Lizabeth that an assassin had appeared near Princess Lillian. But she had already seen through it. That assassin must have been arranged by Lillian herself. Lizabeth gasped. "How did you know?" "It caused quite a stir. Princess Lillian's been confined and His Majesty is furious." Babia smiled faintly. I'd say that's karma. For both of them." The next day the steward gently took Babia's hand. "I know you don't really like His Majesty, but please try to understand his intentions." Babia thought to herself, "Really? Making me study the very next day. Might as well confine me too so I can get some peace." Soon she arrived at the study room where a stack of papers caught her attention. "These are recommendations based on your recent studies," said the steward. Babia looked at the king. His eyes flickered with unease. I didn't expect him to be this serious, she thought. "Did your Majesty prepare these personally for me?" she asked. "Yes." "Is there a problem?" The king replied, clearly nervous. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Babia said with a polite smile. Just then a guard burst into the room. "Your Majesty, Princess Lillian has fainted." The king responded coldly, "What's wrong this time? A headache? A stomachache?" Ever since her lessons started, she hasn't had a single normal day. Babia frowned slightly, saying nothing. The guard quickly explained, "It's serious this time. Her maid wasn't there, so we found out late. There's even a wound on her forehead." The king remained indifferent. "Then call the royal physician. I'm busy. Don't bother me." Babia felt a chill inside. His tone was so cold, as if he'd never loved that girl at all. So this is what a king is like. She thought bitterly. You made her that way, then cast her aside. And one day you'll do the same to me. "Father," Babia said quietly. The king blinked in surprise. "Why so formal all of a sudden?" "You're my father, aren't you? What else should I call you?" "Father, please, go see her. You won't rest easy otherwise." "Impossible. I'm teaching you right now," the king replied flatly, clearly unwilling to visit Lillian. "What is this supposed to be? Are you trying to make a statement to me? Why do you always favor just one person? Don't you know how to prioritize?" Babia thought to herself, "Do you plan to spoil me the same way you did Lillian?" She stretched lazily. "I'm so tired. Let's end today's lesson here." The king quickly asked, "Is it because of Lillian that you're so tired?" "Of course not. I barely know her," Babia replied calmly. The maid, seeing how exhausted she looked, said softly, "Princess, shall we return and take a nap?" But Babia refused outright. The maid blinked in confusion. "But you just said you were tired, didn't you?" Babia smiled faintly. "That was then. Now I'm not tired anymore." "So Lizabeth, got any ideas on where to go?" The maid thought for a moment, then her eyes lit up. "Princess, how about we visit the crown prince?" Babia immediately shook her head. "No, I don't want to see him. Or have anything to do with the royal family." The maid muttered softly, "Prince Altarian is actually kind of pitiful." Babia looked puzzled. "What are you talking about?" Nothing. If you don't want to see him, then let's just take a walk in the garden." With that, she gently pushed Babia out of the room. The next day, Babia was leisurely reading a book. "It's been so quiet lately. Finally, no one's bothering me. I'm almost not used to it." She turned the pages slowly, enjoying the rare peace. Just then, her maid entered and said in a low voice, "Princess, I've learned more details about the assassin incident. It's been confirmed that both assassins were sent by Lillian. She was supposed to be exiled, but after His Majesty spoke with her privately, she was only confined." Babia fell into thought. She did something that awful and only got grounded. What did she say to the king? The maid leaned close and whispered, "Some are even guessing His Majesty might be entangled with her." Then she quickly waved her hands. "But that's just gossip. I don't really believe it." Babia's curiosity sparked. "So how is Lillian now? Did the king visit her afterward?" "He did," the maid replied. This time her fainting was real, and His Majesty seems to have softened toward her. Oh, she really fainted. I was hoping to see her face after that self-stage drama. Babia stood up and said cheerfully, Lisabel, let's go visit Lillian. She flashed a bright grin. But I should fix myself up first. Can't let it look like I'm going just to gloat. Half an hour later, Babia arrived at Lillian's room, smiling softly with a bouquet of fresh flowers in her hands. Seeing her, the maid hurried forward. Princess Babia, what brings you here? Babia didn't respond. She simply smiled, her expression filled with amusement. Seeing the maid trying to block her, Babia frowned impatiently. What? I can't go in? The maid, flustered by her insistence, said helplessly, Please wait a moment, Princess. I'll ask Lady Lillian first. But the moment the door opened, Babia slipped right inside. She knew perfectly well that the fake Princess Lillian would never allow her in. But so what? Today she was going in no matter what. Lillian's face changed instantly when she saw her. What are you doing here? Get out, she shouted. Babia ignored her completely, scanning her from head to toe. So the fainting and the bruise were real, huh? But honestly, you look fine. Eating even better than before, I see. Then Babia held out the flowers she'd brought. I came to visit you, and I even brought these. The next second Lillian flung the bouquet aside. Just then the king entered the room. What's going on here? He asked. Seeing him, Lillian instantly burst into tears. Father, please save me. She threw herself against him, sobbing. Father, Lillian's so scared. Stop crying, the king sighed. You'll faint again. Tell me what happened. Lillian whimpered. She tried to bully me. She even said she'd drive me away. Really? Babia said that. The king looked doubtful. Babia merely gave Lillian a calm glance, not bothering to defend herself. Lillian, seeing the king's indifference, grew more desperate. Why don't you believe me? You used to. You said you'd always love me. Is that a lie too? Seeing Lillian's pitiful act, the king sighed and said helplessly, Babia, I don't know why you came here, but please leave for now. Lillian's tired. All right, I understand, Babia said softly, wiping the corner of her eyes. I only came to visit the sick. I didn't know you hated me that much. I'll go now. She looked so pitiful that the king's heart tightened with guilt. He couldn't bring himself to say a word. These flowers. I picked them myself. I hope you'll keep them. I won't bother you again. Covering her face, Babia ran out of the room. Lillian watched her leave, clutching the king's sleeve tightly, gritting her teeth. Acting all pitiful. Anyone can do that. Outside, Babia allowed herself a faint smile, only to notice the second prince standing there, having seen everything. She bit her lip, eyes flashing with frustration. Damn it. Of all people, he had to see that. I just wanted to put on a small act. With that, she turned and bolted down the corridor as fast as she could. Hearing the news, the crown prince rushed over. I heard you were crying. What happened? Babia turned her head away, muttering to herself, It must be that loudmouth Gino. Once she knows something, the whole palace knows. After the quick complaint, she smiled lightly. I'm fine, really. Just a little sleepy. I was about to take a nap. If something's bothering you, you can tell me, the prince said gently. I share the same kind of pain as you. I'm really fine, Babia said aloud, but her mind was far from agreeing. You and the emperor both think we share the same pain. What was pain on sale? I'm not hurt, I just wanted to get back at Lillian. Then Babia hugged her pillow and yawned. I'm sleepy. If you've got nothing else, please leave. The crown prince watched her hide under the blanket, utterly helpless. He sighed softly. All right, I'll go. Just promise you'll tell me if something's wrong. As soon as he stepped out the door, Babia bounced right out of bed, startling her maid. Is there a library here? I want to read something about the temple. The maid quickly replied, that library belongs directly to His Majesty. Normally, books can only be borrowed. If you wish to enter yourself, you'll need the king's permission. Hearing that, Babia immediately flopped back into bed. She had no desire to deal with the king again. Left with no choice, Babia asked her maid to borrow the books for her. 2 days later, the king came to her chambers himself. Babia, do you have some time now? Her face darkened instantly. The more I try to avoid him, the harder he is to escape, she thought. Well, whether I do or not doesn't matter. Since father has graced me with his presence, I'll make time. Good. Then let's take a walk, the king said, extending his hand. A walk? With him? We've got nothing to talk about. That's going to be so awkward, Babia groaned inwardly. She faked a yawn. I'd love to, but suddenly I feel kind of sleepy. The king ignored her entirely and scooped her up in his arms. Then sleep in my arms. This king was just too domineering. Baby didn't even want to go for a walk, yet he scooped her up without asking. I'm not sleepy any. Put me down, I'll walk on my own, she quickly surrendered. It's natural for a father to hold his daughter, the king said calmly, but the girl in his arms clearly didn't agree. Soon they arrived in the palace garden. The king glanced at Babia. Her cheeks puffed out, clearly sulking. Then he suddenly spoke. Babia, I've made up my mind that I don't want to keep doing things I'll regret. A few days ago Altherian lashed out at me. I realized I need to do better. For both of you, I know you've been hurt. I'm not asking you to forgive me now, but at least know I'm trying. Babia sighed inwardly. What's he even talking about? No. If this keeps up, he'll get closer to me. If that happens, I won't be able to fulfill the role of the sacrificial princess. And that means I'll die. Babia's expression shifted instantly. Call me Babia, she snapped. All right, Babia, the king sighed softly. I understand why you feel this way. The wounded man I used to be felt the same. Even Altherian does. You don't understand anything. Babia shot back. You don't even know what I want. You're only doing this to ease your own guilt. With that, she turned away sharply. Seriously? Playing the doting father act now. If you'd shown this kind of love to the real Babia, none of this would have happened. But the next moment she ran straight into the second prince and Lillian. Why is father with her? Lillian cried the moment she saw the king behind Babia. Babia's face darkened. Great, here we go again. Another round of who does father love more. The king's expression hardened. Lillian, what are you doing here? Didn't I order you to stay confined? Lillian refused to back down, tears streaming down her face. Didn't you say you'd keep loving me, father? The king frowned. Loving you doesn't mean I can't visit Babia. Don't be so unreasonable. His tone hardened as he pointed at her. Go back. Without my permission, you're not to take a single step outside your room. The second prince quickly stepped forward, shielding Lillian. It was me. I told her to come out. Gino, the king said coldly, even a prince must obey the king's command. What's wrong with you? Gino snapped, voice rising. You locked up Lillian, and now you're spending time with her. Babia sighed inwardly as Gino pointed at her. Here we go again. Somehow I'm always the problem. Watch your words, the king barked, pushing his hand down. She's your sister. My only sister is Lillian. Gino shouted, glaring. Father, I hate you. Lillian, let's go. The second prince stormed off with Lillian. Go back now, the king called after them coldly, or I'll have guards drag you back. You've defied my command and I'll see you punished as well. Ignoring Babia's protests, the king lifted her into his arms and walked away. Watching from afar, Gino and Lillian both clenched their teeth, their faces twisted with fury. Back in the palace, the king sat across from Babia and asked, You still refuse to speak to me honestly? Babia stayed silent, a bead of sweat sliding down her temple. It's not that I don't want to talk. I just need to think fast about what to do next. I thought being cold and distant would make them hate me, that it'd help me keep my distance. But it's not working. Maybe I should do what the original Babia did, pretend to crave love. That might make them despise me instead. She clenched her fists. No other choice. I'll have to try acting like the Babia from the book. Babia's eyes welled with tears as she said softly, I'm really sad. It feels like father doesn't love me that much. She wiped her tears with delicate fingers, adding, I know that sounds selfish, but I just feel uneasy. The next moment the king abruptly stood up. I understand, he said curtly. I get what you're trying to say. I'll take my leave. Watching him walk away, Babia thought in delight, wait, did that actually work? He was impossible to shake off. Just a moment. Agioda, so this is the right approach. If I keep doing this, he'll definitely start to hate me. She clenched her fist and gave herself a tiny cheer. Just then, the maid stepped into the room, worry written all over her face. Princess, did something happen? His Majesty didn't look very pleased. He turned to look at Babia, only to find the princess grinning with excitement, her eyes sparkling with the thrill of a plan fulfilled. Babia ran over and high-fived her. Everything's going to be fine. I finally found a way to stay alive. The next morning, the king once again invited Babia to dine with him. He's calling me to eat again. But this time I'm not annoyed. I'll show everyone exactly how the great king comes to hate me. The thought alone made her grin in anticipation. When her gaze met Lillian's across the table, that hateful glare only made Babia feel more satisfied. Don't look at me like that. I'm already doing my best to make him despise me. She clenched her fists under the table. Just one final push. If I can make him reject me in front of everyone, I'll have one. Babia pointed at the food on the table, her eyes widening in a pitiful way. I want that one, but it's too far. Father, could you help me get it? She asked, her voice soft and sweet. The king froze for a moment at the word father, then visibly trembled with emotion. Babia quickly covered her mouth. I'm sorry. Did I say something wrong? You don't like me calling you that, do you? Ugh, even I can't stand this tone. It's disgusting that he should be standing up and walking away right about now. But instead, the king did something no one could have predicted. He stood up. Not to leave, but to personally pick up the chicken leg and hand it to her. Wait, what? That's not how this is supposed to go. In the story, the previous Babia got hated for doing this exact thing. And yet, the king went further. He speared another piece of meat and offered it to her himself. Well, I'm the one who asked for it. That if I don't eat, it'll look rude. Fine. Guess I'm the one being spoon-fed now. Meanwhile, Lillian and the second prince sat frozen, their faces a wild mix of shock, envy, and disbelief. The crown prince stared at the scene before him, forgetting to even lift the meat to his mouth. The king spoke with warmth in his tone. You've finally opened your heart, Babia. I've made up my mind. Everyone shall know that Babia is my beloved daughter, my one and only princess. Lillian's eyes widened in disbelief, practically popping out of her head. Babia froze inside. Wait, what? Who said I cared about that? That's not the problem here. The king continued earnestly. I can understand your feelings. If I were you, I'd feel hurt too. Babia covered her face, inwardly screaming, here we go again. He's talking to himself like always. I just wanted to keep things simple. And now, oh no, Lillian's about to cry again. This is not the scene I wanted. The king suddenly turned to Lillian, his words catching Babia completely off guard. Lillian, have you been bullying Babia again? Haven't, Lillian protested, her eyes filling with tears. The king's tone hardened. You've been glaring at her this whole time. And the day she brought you flowers, you lied to me then too. Lillian, how long are you going to keep disappointing me? Babia quickly stepped forward, trying to defend her. Wait, she really didn't do anything today. The king looked back at her, his voice softening. Babia, you're not like her. Lillian has been speaking ill of you behind my back. I didn't realize how kind you truly were. I see it now, but too late. Watching the king wrongly accuse Lillian again, Babia suddenly stood up and shouted, that's enough. You're doing it again, deciding who I am without asking me. I told you it's not like what you think. You're always like this. Back then you wouldn't listen to Babia, and now you won't listen to Lillian either. You only ever believe your own version of things. You never care what others truly think. Can you for once just listen till the end? And I don't just mean me or Lillian, I mean everyone. With that, Babia turned and stormed out of the dining hall, leaving the king frozen in silence. The crown prince watched quietly from his seat, his eyes unreadable as if deep in thought.